This is TWiT.
And finally, I've been fascinated, you've probably heard me talk about it many times on this show, with the idea of algorithms and robots expressing their own unique senses of creativity, be it by creating music or works of art with everyday materials. Now in its third year, the Robot Art competition has been a place to showcase just how far computational creativity has come, and it's really impressive. 100 beautiful works of art, all created by robots, seemingly going toe-to-toe with some of modern art's, pinnacle pieces. Joining us is Andrew Conru, mechanical engineer and the founder of Robot Art. Sorry, welcome to the show.
Glad to be on. Thanks.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. So this really caught my attention when I first saw news of this. I love seeing these works of art and then realizing, as human as they seem, they're painted with real materials that any normal artist might use. This was all done with robots. So first, talk about the Robot Art competition and how you kind of originally came up with the idea for this, why this needed to exist.
Yeah, I guess we all understand that art and paint go hand in hand, because art is more or less a window to an artist's mind. And I wanted to be able to challenge the idea of whether or not we can use technology to actually replicate kind of the creative processes that artists go through. And more specifically, using real tangible paint, canvas, the actual things that an artist uses by hand, and try to make something beautiful out of that, where a human could respond emotionally to.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you look at these things, and it, like I said, it feels like it has a human touch to it. So talk a little bit about the rules, because obviously this is a competition. There's money involved, so people have to play by the rules. What are the rules that that those artists, or I don't know what you'd call them, the humans that are involved here? Are they the engineers that create the artists, or I'm not really quite sure. But what rules do they follow?
Well, first of all, it's a hybrid between obviously the human and the robot and the AI and such, because when you look at it, all artists basically are algorithms. Mm-hmm. They have an idea, they use their experience to basically program what they're going to do with their hands and body when they actually execute something. So that's kind of the key there. But the contest, it's about $100,000 a year. We take entrants from all over the world. And their requirement is they have to use some sort of mechanical device, which a mechanical device actually hold a brush, grab some real physical paint, real canvas, and execute an idea from the artist designer himself or herself, or through AI. The key part is it has to be physical, tangible stuff with something as messy as paint, because obviously any type of art can be printed in a laser printer. Beautiful, you can have a copy of the Mona Lisa on your wall, but if it's actually executed by something physical and tangible, and something as messy as what we're seeing here with this beautiful painting, it stands out as something that we thought that only humans can do. And we're starting to get a point within our third year of the contest that we're getting much more sophistication when it comes to the layers of paint, the actual technology behind putting paint to canvas.
And so how would you compare one of these works of art that was made physically by a mechanical tool controlled by some sort of AI with a print of a Mona Lisa?
Well, again, there's a reason why you go to an art museum and you actually see paintings as opposed to printouts of paintings. I think it's because you get a connection to the artists themselves, because you actually see the end result through their hands. There's something that we almost require, that it has to have human touch involved, either through music or paint or visual or even cooking, it has to be done by a human. But it's when it gets down to this type of work, we're actually just making an extension of the human mind by using the arm of the robot instead of a printer. And there's something tactile that comes when you actually see paint to canvas. As you're seeing here, it's a watercolor that's been a combination of both line drawing as well as layers of color, which give a authenticity that you don't get with a printer.
Absolutely, those extra materials in there. And now you mentioned this earlier, and so I'm trying to kind of wrap my head around it a little bit. The requirement here is not necessarily that AI constructs an image from scratch necessarily, although that can be the case. That can be what some of these robots are doing. But in the cases where they're not just like devising this creative, never existed before sort of idea and putting it onto canvas, in the case where they're taking an idea and are they in that case, are they recreating it or replicating an image, but using actual materials in order to do it?
Yeah, for the most part, a lot of the artists and robots here are reinterpreting an existing piece of art or even a photograph or some sort of input idea.
Got it.
Because it's very early on in this technology, and we're just trying to focus on the technical aspects of things. When it comes to, you give a robot, you have some paint, but actually getting it onto the canvas, there's a lot of algorithms that have to be written in order to get the execution part of it. So that was the first phase of the contest for the first couple of years. Now we're transitioning into a phase where the actual output is important. One of the key parts of the contest is that we're using people on Facebook or just the general public to vote on art that they find is most appealing or it has an emotional impact to them, because it's art is one of these forms where you can tell if they succeeded or not almost instantly. Mm-hmm. When you look at a painting, does it have an emotional impact? If it does, you know that something's happening, and that's kind of the exciting part of the contest as it gets more mature.
Now, I mean, there's a lot of AI that creates music, and it's very difficult to listen to. I think there's just something, something aesthetically displeasing about knowing that an AI created something and not a human. And we have someone in our chat room, Pushin74, says a printer is a printer, meaning these machines are just a printer. Maybe they're lifting the paint off a little bit to make it look like someone, brushed it on there. But I mean, what do you say to that?
Well, if you look at many artists, even some of the most famous artists, they gone through school, they went to college, they went to an academy to learn the skills, the craft when it comes to creating art. And at some point, you can say, well, they're just a printer themselves. They have the idea, the creative part, but once the idea is finished, they're working on the execution. So it's a little bit of a fuzzy line to say whether or not the technology is being used or a human through their mind and cognition and through their craft is creating art. So, it's a tough call. I mean, I think the laser printer and just a regular inkjet printer or photo printer, it's wonderful in terms of the accuracy, but they just sets the bar up a little bit higher to actually use real paint and real canvas.
What about a 3D printer?
Well, a 3D printer is kind of an extension to a dot matrix. You're just using 3D voxels instead of pixels. However, we have to step back and say, what is creativity? What is art? And it goes back to there's three phases. I say it's the idea, it's the procedure, the algorithm, the way how you think, and then it's the execution. And it's all holistic. It's anything you can take a photograph and print it, or you can take a photo from your camera and print it, and you can call it, well, we have art. But the creative process is, how to make what to take the photo of, or how to compose it. That is. So when it boils down to it, there's a lot of fuzziness that's going on, and we're trying to see whether or not we can recreate that with technology and software.
Yeah, I feel like right now is such a great time to be doing this, especially with just how far neural networks have come just in the past couple of years. The deep dream stuff from a couple of years ago, and you look at a deep dream interpretation of a photo, and suddenly you see these it's very psychedelic to a certain degree, but it looks like a human with a very twisted mind could have created that, where in fact it was entirely generated through a neural network. So I mean, take that and then extend it into these physical materials used on a canvas, and robots are going to be creating things. Personally, I feel they're going to be creating things that are equally as compelling as a lot of things that we're used to seeing, because just having that kind of physical material used in combination with something that is truly creative. I mean, it's a neural network creating something that didn't exist before based on its own, pathways in the same way that our brain does. It's just so remarkable that they're able to do this and that they look that good.
Well, we're definitely at the early stages of things, and what you said is completely true. That in the last couple of years, with a lot of deep learning techniques, there's going to be an uncanny valley that we're going to get through.
Yeah.
If you mentioned like the music, where it's you
yes.
say, well, they're making progress, but
yeah, it might need a little bit more work on the music front, I'm thinking, with AI.
That's right. When it comes to the graphical art, I think we're getting to a point where the human eye and the way the brain perceives vision, we're getting rewarded very easily. I think we're getting to a point where we might start having a new category of art where it's algorithmic based. We'll see where we're going to be in just a number of years. I think we're getting really close to something exciting.
I would agree.
Right. And I mean, your question of like, what is art? What is creativity? I mean, if, you sometimes go to a museum and art makes you feel uncomfortable, like, it's a toilet sitting in the middle of a museum or something, and it makes you, it's like, oh, it's three stripes, like a Rauschenberg or something. And like, that's part of what the art is. It's making you think about, oh, I don't understand it. That makes me feel uncomfortable. And this is like, this was made by a robot and I don't know what that means. And, who am I? What am I just a printer? So like, if that's what art is.
The existential question of our lifetime: am I just a printer? Yeah.
Am I? Medium life starts kicking in here when you're starting to say if technology can do what I do, it's
yeah.
But we're all facing that as a society. It's where's our place? Where's our humanity in an ever evolving world? It's exciting, but it's also a little disconcerting. I think future generations are going to have an easier time because they're grown up with it, but for us transitionalists, we have some changes to go through.
Yeah, we got a little bit of acceptance on our part. One question that I do have, though, around this art in particular, and that art collectors exist. I'm sure there are art collectors that would love to get their hands on some of these things, because who knows, in the grand arc of robots creating art, if we are at the kind of beginning stages, these things could be collector's items. They're every bit as as much of an art piece as anything else on canvas. Is it possible for someone to pick these up, or did any of the people who created these systems have any intentions of selling these pieces?
We're planning for next year that one of the requirements of the submission of art is actually sending the art to us, as we're going to be exhibiting in next year's Seattle Art Fair. Cool. So we're actually going to have. You can walk in, you can see it, you can touch them, you can maybe touch them, but you can definitely see them in firsthand. And they will be for sale because, as Andy Warhol says, it's not art until the check clears.
Hey, there we go. And then I have to wonder, who gets the money? Does the person who created the robot get the money, or does the robot get the money? And if the person who created the robot gets the money, this is just more reason for the robots to rise up. Mm-hmm. They're not going to be happy about
taking jobs, but I think it's going to be a while.
We won't have to worry about it anyways. Andrew Conru, thank you so much for taking time to join us today and talk about robot art. RobotArt.org is where people should go to find out more.
Yep, and we're going to be probably around September. We'll be opening up for registration for next year's.
That's
so
fantastic.
Exciting times.
I love what you guys are doing. Thank you, and keep it up.